You are now listening to the Artist King Podcast.
Welcome to the Artist King Podcast, episode 23. I am your host, DTM. This week, we share the Artist King 2014 Art Business Discussion Panel 6, Art in the Communities. From this past Tuesday, October 21st, our moderator was Jessyca Holland of Cipher, Atlanta, and the panelists were Gregory Burbidge of Atlanta Regional Commission, Alex Acosta of Soul Food Cipher, Kessler of the Atlanta Downtown Neighborhood Association, and Alex Davis of the City of Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. In this podcast, we will hear the complete panel discussion as various important lessons and experiences are shared, plus questions from the audience are answered. This panel discussion is part 6 of the 8-week Artist King panel discussions going on around Atlanta and include Burnaway, Cipher, Atlanta, and WonderRoot. We are proudly sponsored by the law offices of Deborah Gonzalez, Atlanta Tech Village, Cipher, Atlanta, WonderRoot, Burnaway, Revolve Skate, and Velocity Screen Print. Please visit artistking.org for a complete listing of the Artist King 2014 panel discussions and venues involved, along with web links to each of the panelists. Don't forget Artist King 2014 Art Business Discussion Panel 7, Art Mentors, the Value of the Veteran Professional Artist, is this coming Tuesday, October 28th. Panelists are Danny Zanzone, Flavor Dave McLeod, and Mike Games. We will be at Burnaway, 261 Peter Street, Southwest Atlanta, and Kessler. Now on to the Art in the Communities panel discussion from Cipher, Atlanta.
Thanks for inviting us to be a part of this panel. Thank you guys for coming. So we'll have a pretty laid-back conversation and talk about art in communities. That's the topic of our discussion. So again, I'm Jessyca Holland. I'm with Cipher Atlanta. I'm the co-founder and executive director. For those of you that are interested, we have some materials that you're welcome to take about Cipher Atlanta. We have a brochure that has our training schedule. If you're not familiar with Cipher Atlanta, we're an art service organization that focuses specifically on workforce development, professional development for artist entrepreneurs. And then our next class coming up is a website boot camp. It's a 3-week class on helping artists build their own website. So a lot of the things that we do are very much about the DIY, helping artists kind of take control of the business side of their lives through building their own website, learning those types of skills, marketing, business development, and so forth. So that class will be on Tuesdays, November 4th through November 18th, and so thank you for allowing me to plug that. I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves, and so we'll just take a few minutes just to go down the row here, and so just introduce yourself, your name, and a little bit about your job and what you do, and pepper in some information about your role in the arts world, as it were, so, as it is.
Me first?
Yeah, we'll start.
My name is Alex Davis, and I work in the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs. My title is Grant Development Officer, so my job is essentially to find funding, make application to national funders for monies for art programs. I also look for sponsorships for some of the programs that come out of the office. I've been with the Office of Cultural Affairs for 2 years. Prior to working for the city, I worked for a commercial art gallery, and prior to that, I was an accountant. And so, I bring this business interest and business focus to everything that I do, and the way that I think about how arts should grow and could grow in Atlanta. And so I am enjoying what I do. I'm trying to think about how we can build greater partnerships and greater support from Atlanta's business community for the arts. And that's kind of been something that I've really tried to champion in my role in the past 2 years.
Very cool. Thanks, Alex.
My name is Kessler. I am an architect by profession and the president of the Atlanta Downtown Neighborhood Association. So I've been an architect officially, I guess, for about 3 years now, but graduated from school back in 2006, and you've got years of internship and that sort of stuff to get to actually be able to stamp a set of drawings and take all the liability for them. And as we learned in architecture school, architecture is the mother of the arts. You know, it's the one that houses the sculpture and the painting and the dance and all the other various muses, if you will. And I've always had an interest in the arts in that sense. But as president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, when I first got involved, the reason I even decided to live downtown was there was an arts festival and loft tour that brought people in. And looking back after the fact, sort of going through some of the documentation, is that downtown was basically jealous of all the other sort of festivals that were happening in town. I mean, Atlanta is a very sort of festival-type city. Dogwood Festival has been going on for generations and generations. And downtown had, it's been the center of the business, community for ages. It hasn't had much of a residential population, but that was a way to sort of bridge the two, was that, hey, we've got folks that are living here that are artists or folks that appreciate art. Businesses want to decorate their lobbies. People want to have music and activate the public spaces. We've got a lot of public art that's out there. So how can we leverage those activities? Unfortunately, given the downturn in the economy, there weren't any lofts left to tour. Nobody wanted to buy or sell anything. So that sort of activity dwindled. But as of late, we've had a sort of arts resurgence, if you will, but less about a program and a festival, but what arts can do as sort of creative problem solving and partnering with artists and not seeing them as the means to an end, but understanding that they could be or are residents, that they are participatory, and that we're not declaring a festival and inviting anybody from Timbuktu to Kalamazoo to come in and show us art, but trying to appreciate the stuff that's being put up for living walls or for elevator, the other things that are happening in the neighborhood.
Awesome. All right, everyone, my name is Alex Acosta. I'm the other Alex. But yes, I'm the co-founder and also executive director of Soul Food Cipher. And Soul Food Cipher is an organization that believes in the power of speech, not only to transform individuals, but also communities as a whole. So what we do is we reverse the negative perception of hip-hop culture through our Cipher events, our membership program, and also community outreach. At our Cipher events, which we actually have one this Sunday at WonderRoot, we have programming in different segments in which we introduce new words to MC's vocabulary. We introduce new ideas through images in our wordplay segment. We have team building exercises such as one-by-ones in which MCs, they partner up and they finish each other's rhymes. So through entertainment, we're actually introducing new concepts and new ideas to MCs so that they can go back and change their communities as well. We also give employment opportunities inside and outside of the realm of entertainment to our MCs as well. So my background is, I actually started off doing photojournalism. I worked with AJC, Creative Loafing, and several other editorial publications. And did that for a few years, but of course, journalism kind of tanked around 2008 or so. So I found myself freelancing and hustling. And I've always been one to do things that I love and focus my attention on things that I love. And emceeing is one of my loves. All of hip-hop culture is a love of mine. Breakdance and graffiti, all of that. So I decided to put my interest and my time into developing Soul Food Cipher, and it's brought me here.
Soul Food Cipher is great. It's exciting to be sitting next to you. I'm from the Atlanta Regional Commission, the 10-county regional planning agency for Metro Atlanta. The whole country is really broken up into regional planning agencies. Ours just happens to be the ARC. It's a quasi-governmental organization. The board is the 10 county chairs, the mayor from every county, citizen members. And they've really focused on planning around regional assets, whether that's natural resources, land use, transportation. We're the area agency on aging, federally designated. And a couple years ago, the ARC board decided that arts and culture are a regional asset that should be planned for regionally, like we plan for transportation, like we plan for aging and natural resources. So I've come along to help them think through that. It's been very interesting work, thinking about how the arts impact these sort of functional areas, what solutions the arts bring to the table, that generally we don't think of in these areas of planning, and what these other areas of planning bring to the table for the arts, for challenges we have in the arts, that we try to think of solutions internally rather than thinking about these sort of big external partners.
Cool. Thank you guys for being here and taking time out of your Tuesday evening, and especially as it's getting darker. Cool. Well, I mean, I have a couple of questions and just some discussion points, and I'm going to go one by one. But this is very organic. So if there are other things that you want to talk about, other things that you want to comment on, then please, by all means, feel free. Again, the topic is art in communities and sort of the role of art in community. And I asked each of you here because I think you represent a different part of community or communities. So, at the city level, what does that look like? At the neighborhood level, organizational level, and regional level? And so we have a really good mix of really what the definition of community can be, and how art defines as different communities. So Kyle, I'm actually going to start with you, and I wanted to just ask you a little bit about the role in an urban neighborhood, and there's a lot of different partnerships I think that the ADNA has taken on, whether working with Elevate or even with Dashboard Co-op and supporting those different projects around the downtown neighborhood. How do those partnerships happen?
Getting to know people. I think lots of it starts off with either a personal relationship or a personal involvement or engagement, where there's a particular downtown resident or business owner who has become friends or acquaintances with somebody, or has gotten to know of an organization through some event or program or other sort of activity going on, and just through the normal sort of working of networking, sort of start to encounter and collide and come up with these relationships. But there's a lot of work that goes in after that first sort of meet and greet and card exchange to make them actually productive partnerships. But for instance, with Elevate, Elevate had already gone on for 1 year without much neighborhood involvement. And then when year 2 came around, the Downtown Neighborhood Association was planning an event, not thinking about Elevate, not sort of having that partnership with the Office of Cultural Affairs, but through a mutual connection, somebody put the two dots together and said, hey, you've got this event going on that sounds like it might feed well or play well with what the folks are planning for Elevate this year. Let's get you two on a conference call together and see if we can work something out, which is exactly what happened. We sort of saw where those things aligned, that the neighborhood had some issues, if you will, that we wanted some help fixing, and we were taking one approach to it, but I think as you were mentioning, that those looking outside the box or thinking of it at a different approach, not from the neighborhood perspective, but from what's the art or the artist looking to work on, and came up with a solution that I think worked well for both. And then since then, it's just been continuing to engage in those conversations and bring those differing perspectives, those complementary perspectives to bear on those partnerships and let them grow and evolve over the years. Elevate's not what it was before, but likewise, we've leveraged those relationships or utilized those opportunities or connections to get plugged in with many other arts organizations that are downtown. And I think one of the key differences from what we had before with the festival, which was just sort of an open call, who wants to come in, and then we were dealing individually with particular artists that were wanting to participate downtown. What we're doing more of now is partnering at an organization-to-organization level, and trying to capitalize on the team or the network that's already there and figuring out how those organizations can work together rather than trying to start a new organization or try to potentially compete with what the other organizations can bring to the table.
Yeah, that's really cool. I have a question formulating it, and maybe it's one that you and Alex can talk about together. But and with projects like Elevate and some of the stuff we're even seeing that other organizations are doing that are very community-based, have you, I mean, first of all, like, I think we can all agree that we've seen some shifts in art, I think, in downtown, at least from my perspective, at least 5 years ago. Art was held oftentimes indoors, and now we're seeing a lot more art move outside of spaces. How does that affect some of the happenings downtown. Our neighbors